So everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. I love that quote. Mike Tyson said it. Someone said something very similar before him, I believe. But I do think it's massively relatable with a lot of people on their health and fitness journey. I think, first of all, most people don't even have a plan. So as soon as something ever so slightly ruins their motivation, removes their focus in the smallest aspect, that can massively have a knock-on effect with the action that they take. You can feel great one week. Oh, I've been to the gym 3 times this week. I've been on top of my food. I'm moving more. I'm feeling amazing. I've even lost weight. Fantastic. Week 2, same. Oh, I'm in such a good place right now. But then come week 3, and it is as quick as that. Something as tiny as you went out for a few drinks with your pals and you're feeling a little bit meh, and you missed the gym, and then you miss the gym, and then you feel like you're failing because you're not being perfect, and then it starts to snowball. You miss the gym again, you start to eat shit because you've not organised your food, and then 2 or 3 weeks of really good, perfect behaviour then starts to dwindle. And that's when people don't have a plan. And that's what most people don't do. They don't know what it is they need to do. They just think, I'm just going to move more, I'm going to eat better, I'm going to exercise. And that's fantastic. And if you want to lose a little bit of weight, you just want to feel that little bit better, then yeah, that's all you really need to do, is just watch your intake a little bit more, reduce the snacks, should I say, reduce the beers, make more fresh food, make more food at home instead of just grabbing stuff by convenience. You're going to naturally lower your calorie intake. That's what's needed to drop fat. And obviously moving more, again, it's going to bring that gap between your calories that you intake and your calories that you input. That is the biggest driver for fat loss. If you can understand that, you can kind of start to take that perfect scenario away from the situation and actually put in some plans that's going to work for you. But back to what I mentioned in there, this is why a lot of people don't get to that place, because they think they need to be perfect with it all. And they think they need to be perfect with, oh, I need to be exercising all the time and I need to be air quote on it. But as soon as something is little, like I said, it could be even something as stupid as you're stuck in traffic, so then you miss the gym. Something as insignificant as that and as little as that can massively be catastrophized by a lot of people, because it's that on it button. Oh, I'm on it now, so I can't miss it, because if I miss it, then I won't be on it. And then again, it's that avalanche, right? So there's that first aspect of not even having a plan. There's the second aspect of it all, though, by having a plan, but life, like I've just mentioned there, getting in the way sometimes. And it's accepting ranges within your lifestyle and ranges within what you need to do, and not being so focused on the singular. It's like a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to train Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And that's great. But it's very rigid, very singular, right? Isn't it? There's no range to that. It's not, I train 3 times a week. There's a range to that. It's, I train Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Because if I don't train Monday, I feel like I fucked up. And that can have a negative effect on then our focus, and our emotions take over to then go, fuck's sake, I've not started the week great. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't focus on, well, I can just get back to my normal routine and go to the gym Wednesday. We focus on the negative. We're too emotionally attached to sometimes the goal and the process, that then it can massively affect our energy and our focus and our attacking, basically, of our actions. Because then we go, well, fuck it. And then Wednesday gets missed. And there's no reason Wednesday got missed. Monday, you might have missed it because, like I said there, traffic, your kid's poorly, you've got a work deadline, shit happens. It's understanding that shit happens and having that range of going, well, I don't need to train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I just need to train 3 times this week. Yeah, sometimes it might not be perfect. I don't want to train Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and in an air quote optimal way, it might not be, but I'm still getting those 3 sessions in, so I'm still winning that week. It's understanding that a plan is fantastic, a focus is fantastic, but you've got to understand that life is going to punch you in the mouth sometimes. And it's just being able to bounce back as quick as possible. And that's what a lot of people, unfortunately, cannot do. They don't know how to bounce back quick. So then a day turns into a week, turns into a month, and then it's 3 years down the line and you've still not done anything about your health and fitness where you got to a great place. And I'll revert back to what I just mentioned there. If you want to lose a little bit of weight, you want to feel that little bit better, yeah, just moving a little bit more, eating a little bit better is going to do that. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about you getting to a place where you're super fucking happy when you look in the mirror and you still can't believe that this is you. That's the feeling that I want for people. Where they are the strongest that they've ever been, the fittest that they've ever been, the leanest that they've ever been. Where they look in the mirror and they're super proud and happy and confident with who they are. Not just feeling that little bit better. Because unfortunately for a lot of people, they yo-yo. And a lot of guys that I speak to, yo-yo each year, but every single year they're just adding that little bit more. So it might be that they've got to 14 stone and that was their heaviest. But then 2 or 3 years down the line, now their heaviest is 14.5 stone. But then they shift a little bit. They start to move and they start to just get under 14. They start to feel better. They lost a little bit of weight. But then life happens. And then 2 or 3 years later, oh, now my ceiling is 15 stone. You know where I'm going with this. You need to get to a point where you're so fucking happy with the changes that you've made to your body that you would do everything to keep that. And it's focusing on the goal. Of course, the goal is important, but it's that identity shift. It's that presence of new habits and removing old habits. That is the biggest thing that's going to, 1, get you to your goal, but 2, keep your goal. Because it's not like a business. You could work your ass off building a business, doing 60, 70-hour weeks, just really pedal to the metal, what is it called? Pedal to the floor, I can't remember the quote. Really going at it. For a year, for 5 years, for 10 years, I don't know, however long it takes to build your business, where you're at the place where you can go, I've done all the work now, I can sell this. I can sell it for a decent amount of money, and then I can just live life nice and chilled. Health and fitness is not the same as that. There's some similarities. For fat loss, for example, there's going to be a time where, yes, you need to push yourself beyond your means to be able to get that last 5 kg off, for example, where you're at a place where you're like, I'm so fucking happy with how I'm looking and feeling. But unfortunately, you can't then take your foot off the gas too much to maintain it. If you're going to the gym 5 times a week, it might mean that you go to the gym 3 or 4. If you're doing, let's say, 12,000 steps a day, it might mean that you need to do 8 to 10. If you're eating 2,000 calories a day to get to that point where you're happy with your leanness, it might mean that then you start to eat 2,500 calories to maintain it. I hope this kind of is becoming clear of an understanding that the way that you get into shape is the same way that you maintain it. It's just maybe that little bit less effort that is needed. But there's still a lot of effort to maintain that. You still need to be on top of your exercise every week. You still need to be moving, and you still need to be organising your food. So this is where you have to not just focus on the outcome, but focus on the processes as well, and the person that you want to be, the guy that you want to be. Not just doing it because I want to get to that place and, oh, that's it, pat on the back, I've lost 10, 15, 20 kg, which is fantastic. But the way that you keep that off is because you become that person. You become the gym guy, you become the workout guy, you become the guy that moves and goes and plays with his kids all the time because he knows it's important, and it's that blend. So if like yesterday I had the day off for my daughter, which is very rare now. I don't really get that day off, complete days with her. But I know that I don't want to be just sitting around and playing games or just sitting around and doing stuff. We're going to have that time, but I'd rather be doing active stuff with her. I'd rather, like yesterday, we went trampolining, went to the arcades. What else did we do? Went to the park. Do you know what I mean? We did all these things just on his feet, active, moving. We had that sit down time as well, but I'm going to promote that because I know the importance of it. And then she'll know the importance of it as well. So it's becoming that identity, it's shifting that, and that takes time. Anyone can lose weight, it's easy. You restrict yourself, you're gonna lose some weight. Most people can't lose weight and keep it off because they just focus on that. And it's always good to have an end goal or a milestone that you wanna hit because it gives you that attention, it gives you that focus, and it gives you that understanding that fat loss shouldn't be forever, it shouldn't, but your health and fitness priority should. And that is the difference, I think, for a lot of people. They're doing stuff because they're motivated, because they want to get the result. They're not doing stuff because they know how beneficial it is going to be to their life. Going to the gym and lifting PBs, pushing a stronger weight every time, it builds resilience, it builds confidence in yourself. Being on top of and organising your food, because if you don't, you're grabbing convenience, then you start to feel like shit during the day. You feel lethargic, you have those spikes in insulin, and you get tired when your insulin drops. So you understand the priorities of that. Moving more just helps you feel more active, feel more energized, feel less aches and pains. So it's bridging that between what the goal is, but also what my lifestyle goal is as well. And I think if you can do that, that's when you can get punched in the mouth and still be confident that you'll stay on the track that you're meant to and keep hitting those milestones. And I think that's how you work around the restrictions or the rigidness of plans, because life happens. And the biggest thing that you can do, two things. Organisation is one thing, being as organised as you possibly can throughout the week. Stuff happens in life, but I do feel that the more organised you are, the more level of action that you're going to take, and more consistent action you're going to take, and bouncing back as quick as possible. If you've had a night out on a Saturday, for example, you went out for a meal, you went out for some drinks, have an organised plan of attack for that day. So you might reduce your calories, you might reduce your carbs, you might go for a run, you might go to the gym, just to kind of offset that you might be eating that a little bit more that day. But then the day after, don't sit and wallow in that. Just be like back to normal. Normal breakfast, normal dinners, exercise, and just that's it. Just back to what's my normal lifestyle. That's all you've got to think about. And when you've got a goal of shifting fat, all you need to think about is, what would a person who's shifting fat, what would they do right now? Would they sit on the sofa, feel sorry for themselves, eat loads of crap, not move, not exercise? Probably not, right? But it's easy to get into that funk, especially when things haven't, air quote, gone to plan. But I think when you've got a plan and you've understood and you've ticked those boxes and you've been organised, you can then with confidence say, I've done what I need to this week. And you've got to have a balance. There's going to be there's always an element of you need to push yourself, because you're trying to make a change to your body, you're trying to shift some fat off it, you're trying to build some muscle, you're trying to improve your fitness, your strength. Of course there's going to be that resistance, but there needs to be that stimulus to create that change. But if you can be confident in saying that, well, I want to go out with my friends and still have a few beers, and I want to go out with my partner and have a nice meal out, or I want to have an ice cream with my kids, don't restrict yourself of that. Because you've, like I've said there, you've got to blend the lifestyle. You've got to blend the things of, well, I'm trying to push, I'm trying to create a change, but also I don't want to restrict these things. But what do I need to do so I can have both? That's where organisation comes in. Going, how can I do both? And when you do get punched in the mouth, kid gets poorly is a big one. You getting poorly is another big one. Is understanding that that's uncontrollable, but what you can control is your reaction. And with that, you can only control the controllable. You can only react in a way that you want to react, and that needs to be then in line with what you're trying to achieve in life. And the biggest thing when it comes to fat loss, because obviously that's what we're kind of talking about, right, is you can always control how much you put in your mouth. And your nutrition is always going to be the biggest game changer when you change your body. So you have control of that. You might not have control of how much of what you're eating, but calories are always going to be the bigger game changer, especially when it comes to fat loss. So you might have those odd times where you're at a meeting, you're at a wedding, you're at an event. The menu is it's not up to you what's on the menu or what's been provided, but what is up to you is how much you eat of that. And also, like I've always mentioned, kind of scoping, widening the lens on everything in life, and not being so rigid and not being so singular and so kind of really laser pointed, being a little bit more like a shotgun and looking a little bit more outward of that bigger lens of what's one event, what's one day of missing the gym, for example, what's one day of just eating more than you normally do, having a pizza, having a takeaway, having a few beers, whatever it means. What is one day if it's not the norm? And that's what I always look at. What is the norm and what is the exception? What's the rule? What's the exception? If you go to the gym 4 times a week, over a 4 week period, that's 16 times. If you've been to the gym 15 out of 16, I would say that you're on track and that that's the norm. If you are meant to go to the gym 16 times and you've only been 10, then that's when I would be starting to address well, why? Why am I not going the 16? That's when the rules and exceptions start to come into play. But you can understand that over a month period, if 80-90% of the things that you are meant to do you have been doing, you can be confident in that you are moving in the right direction. It's when you are 1 week super perfect, but then the next week you're a 0. 1 week you're super perfect, the next week you're 0. That's when you're going to get inconsistencies, and that's when we can get frustrated. The people that I see that get the best results and keep them are the ones that don't go too far away from the ranges that they've set themselves. So if it is, I go to the gym 4 times a week, they go to the gym 4 times a week most of the time. It might be that 1 week they only go 2 or 3 times. Might be illness, might be stresses at work, at home, whatever it may be. But the majority of the time, they stay consistent. Same with the nutrition. They might have a certain amount of calories and they stick to it 7 days a week. But then once, it might be that I'm going out for a few pints with my pals, I'm going out for a meal, I've got a stag do, I've got a holiday, I've got a weekend away. So out of a month, there might be 2 or 3 days where the calories aren't what they normally have. But for the majority, they've put it in the direction that they need to. I hope this is making sense and understanding what's needed. It's not a perfect plan, and a perfect week is not needed to create the changes that you want. It can be fantastic, of course, because that means that you're going to get your results a little bit quicker. But it's much better to be running at around 70 to 80% and getting 70 to 80% of the outcome, and doing that for 3-6 months, than it is trying to be 100%, not even doing that for a month, and then going back down to, let's say, 0, where you're not even watching your food, you're not exercising, you couldn't give a fuck about how much you're moving. That's what I'd say is 0. So it's much better to be around 70, 80 and just keep on trudging along, and you might have those hiccups, you might have those punches in the mouth, but you staying on top of what you need to the best that your abilities, and understanding, just trying to get that a little bit better and making that a longer term thing, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever it may be for you and your journey, and never losing sight of that, and always just going, how can I get that a little bit better? How can I just keep on top of things? Do I need to look at my organization? Is it my time management? Is it my focus? Is it my priorities? All these things. Than trying to be perfect, getting punched in the mouth, and then calling it a day, until you look in the mirror a week later, a month later, a year later, and you're like, fucking hell, I'm still that fat guy, out of shape, unhappy. What the fuck am I doing? And I hear this a lot. I had a guy message me just yesterday. We've been speaking for 3 years, back and forth, and he's not done. He messaged me saying, you know what? I think it's time. I need to do something about it, because in the time, he's like, I've just looked back at all our messages over the years, and nothing's changed. And it can easily happen. And it's, for a lot of people, it's waiting for that perfect moment. It never happens. There's no perfect moment. Life's always going to throw shit at you. It's just you prioritizing what you know is important, and for the majority of the time, doing that and heading in the right direction. I hope this has fired you up. I hope it's made sense. I hope it's inspired you. And obviously, you know where I am if you need anything to chat about.